What's up, everybody? How's it going? Hope everybody's super excited for UFC 249 this weekend. I know that I am. I'm on the road today. I was having a little conversation with Coach Buzz Valdez about why I think Conor is looking up to line these fights up at 170 pounds. He made a tweet towards Dustin Poirier. He's bugged that Dustin's ahead of him in the rankings at 155, and quite frankly, it's because Dustin deserves to be there. He's been more active at that weight class. He's been a more active fighter, and what Conor beating Dustin Poirier in a minute and a half, 5-6 years ago at 145 pounds, just doesn't really matter with that fight now at a different weight class and everything. I would like to see that fight at 155 pounds. That's probably the fight that I want to see the most for Conor right now, with Gaethje and Tony locked up, and Khabib out for Ramadan. It's in COVID-19. It's Dustin Poirier, but it circles back to 170 pounds. He just fought Donald Cerrone at 170 pounds. And now everything's in the whirlwind. Conor versus Jorge Masvidal, being 170 pounds. Conor's talked about becoming a champion in 3 different weight classes, but I mean, Conor's not about to fight Kamaru Usman either. But there's the biggest fight out there for him, besides maybe Khabib. It still might be bigger. Is the biggest trilogy fight in the history of the UFC. Would be Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 3 at 170 pounds. Now, if you're Conor McGregor, you beat Nate up pretty good in the first round of your first fight, and then you gassed out because you underestimated his ability to be able to take your shots at 170 pounds. And you got choked out, tapped out. Then the next fight, you won a majority decision. Now, a win's a win. It's great that Conor beat Nate in a majority decision for Conor, but at the end of the day, that fight was so close. A lot of people can make a pretty good argument that Nate Diaz won that fight. He didn't win that fight because the judges said he didn't, and at the end of the day, they're the ones that really matter. But I mean, it was razor thin fight. Could have gone either way. No matter who the judges gave it to, nobody would have gotten screwed because it was that close, in my opinion. Conor gets that win. Conor doesn't want to win razor thin decisions. Conor wants to knock people out. He wants to decisively finish his opponents. And I think anything less than a finish against Nate Diaz in a trilogy fight isn't good enough for Conor's legacy, for Conor. He needs to have a better performance than he did in that second fight. And one of the main things that he needs more experience, octagon experience, fighting welterweights, if that's the fight that he's going to make that fight happen at. And I really believe that. He needs to be able to put those welterweights away. Now, you could say what you want about the matchup with Jorge. I see a lot of people thinking that Jorge's too big for him, Jorge's going to smash him, whatever. Believe what you want. It's not what Conor thinks. I don't know what's going to happen in that fight. They're 2 elite strikers. They're going to stand up. They're going to do their thing. Jorge's body kicks are some of the nastiest in the business. People point back. Jorge walked through Nate Diaz pretty much for 3 rounds before it got stopped. Vice versa, Jorge and Cerrone. Conor walked through Donald Cerrone, a lot faster than Jorge did. Right? So, you get into that MMA science and math of whoever beat who by how and when and what round and all that. The MMA math doesn't work. But I do think Conor is analytical enough and smart enough to know that he needs rounds against other welterweights at that weight class to gain that experience, to be able to put somebody like Nate Diaz away and put a statement on his legacy. Because Conor's had great, great moments in the UFC and in that octagon. Knocking out Jose Aldo the way he did, knocking out Eddie Alvarez the way he did. Um, his both fights with Nate Diaz are great. He's never defended a title. He lost to Khabib decisively. His other best wins probably against Max Holloway, when Max was still pretty young too. Him and Conor were both young. He needs the rest of his fights to cement a legacy of being one of the all-time greats. And unbiasedly, and as a huge Conor fan, he's not there yet. There's still things that he needs to do to get up there with the all-time greats and have an all-time great career. That Nate Diaz fight is the big one, and that is why I think that Conor McGregor is taking those fights at 170 pounds. Not necessarily to become the champion of the welterweight division, and maybe that is a goal that can come down the road for him, that he can shoot for. I don't know if he'll ever get it, but I think the most important one, and the calculated part of his brain, is calculating the best way to give himself the best chance to fight Nate Diaz and to put him to sleep and beat him emphatically the way he did Cerrone, the way he did Jose Aldo, the way he did Eddie Alvarez. I don't know if it's possible. We'll see. There's only one way to find out, and see it in the cage. Hope everybody has a good rest of your week leading up to UFC 249. If you haven't yet, jump in the UFC 249 pool on the Damage Plan Facebook page. It's only $5. It's going to be a lot of fun. Interesting to see what everybody picks. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you. Bye.